Welcome to the NFL 2024 season. You can see we have a little bit better background for episode 2 of the unnamed David Todd podcast. Let's get right to it. Steelers-Falcons, 1 o'clock, Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta. Obviously the big news coming out Thursday, Russell Wilson has calf tightness. Who's going to be the starting quarterback? Let me tell you, if you've ever played a sport, you know if you've had calf tightness or a pulled calf, the last thing you want to do is put pressure on your calf and be pushing off. If that's what Russ has, and it's obviously what Russ has, you can't play. That thing does not get better in 2 or 3 days. Look, I played a lot of sports. I played soccer at a reasonably high level. I had a bunch of calf strains. It sucks. I'll tell you, the issue isn't whether Russ plays today, it's whether he plays next week in Denver. And you know what? That's going to depend a lot on what happens with Justin Fields today. So, Steelers, coming into this game, not what we expected. It's going to be Justin Fields at quarterback. It's going to be a mixed-up offensive line. It's going to be a wide receiver core without a lot of depth. It's going to have a tight end who's got a new contract, which I didn't love. But look, it's the start of a new season, and it's, spring, hope springs eternal as we're here in the fall. But look, the quarterback situation, I don't think the Steelers are in a worse situation with Justin Fields at quarterback. The biggest deal with Fields obviously has been his ability to not turn the ball over. And as I tell you, every NFL season, if you want to look at the Steelers, basically any NFL team, but certainly teams around the middle, the teams that are between kind of the 10th best team and the 20th best team in the NFL, where the margin of victory is super slim. The turnover battle, give me one stat to decide who's going to win the game. Show me after the game, I'll tell you who won the game. Give me the turnover battle. It was like clockwork last year. They win or push the turnover battle, they were winning. They lose the turnover battle, they lose. With Justin Fields, obviously, historically, his biggest issue has been turnovers. You look at Fields, though, and you look at his numbers. You go back and look at Justin Fields with the Bears in 23, Kenny Pickett with the Steelers in 23. You know, the numbers were remarkably similar. A couple big differences. Sacks, Fields, a lot more sacks. Sacked 10% of the time that he dropped back last year with the Bears. That is a big number. That's a bit of a problem. Obviously, turnover is a big number. On the positive side, rush yardage. Justin Fields is a guy who I think he ran for 526 yards last year, about 5.5 yards a carry, really dangerous with the football. So what do we expect to see today? Okay, you look at the Steelers, the offensive line, no Seumalo, going to have an offensive line that I'm betting this group did not practice together one time when they were up in Latrobe. You're going to have Dan Moore at left tackle, Broderick Jones at right tackle. You're going to have Daniels at left guard. You're going to have Anderson, Spencer Anderson, 7th-round pick last year, 7th-round pick last year out of Maryland. Going to be your starting left guard, first career start. And obviously Zach Frazier, 2nd-round pick out of West Virginia, another rookie, first career start. Not ideal. New quarterback, bunch of guys playing their first time. Couple guys started first start, NFL start in this opener, and a couple of, the tackles, maybe not the tackles that you expected to have and where they'd be playing starting the season. As I mentioned on Thursday on Twitter, Roman Wilson, he's not going to get a helmet today, just missed too much time. I think Fatanu is going to get a helmet, but he's not going to start, and I wouldn't expect them to change their tackles the way they're lined up to start the game unless somebody gets injured. So you've got Fields back there, 9 months younger than Kenny Pickett, very mobile at quarterback. You've got some good running backs. You've got a number 1 wide receiver, but man, the rest of the wide receiver room, question marks. So offensively, it's a big issue for the Steelers. Defensively, look, this team looks pretty good on paper. Solid front 3. We'll see what happens with Cam this year coming back, but by all accounts, he's ready to go back to 100%. Linebacker core. You've got Patrick Queen in the middle, along with Landon Roberts. Should be a big upgrade, and that's a huge deal for the Steelers. It's a huge deal today for the Steelers covering tight ends and covering guys in the middle of the field. It was the biggest problem they had in the passing game last year. And then secondary, if there's a weakness, obviously it's in the secondary. How are they going to line up? It's going to be Beanie Bishop, undrafted free agent of West Virginia, starting in the slot. That's a question mark. So, step away, we look at this game. We look at the Steelers coming into this game. Right now, on paper, this is an average, a slightly above average NFL team. You can't call it anything different than that. Let's go through the position groups. QB, when healthy, average. I'm off the charts on my hopes for Russ, off the charts in my expectations longer term for what Justin Fields can be. Today, average. Running back, that's a spot where they're above average. Jaylen Warren back healthy. Expect both those guys to have solid games today. Offensive line, start the season, missing one of your starters, below average. Tight end, look, I don't love the position group. I wouldn't have paid Pat quite what they paid him, 4 years, $48 million. I think he's a $10 million a year player. 3 and 10 I would have liked, but the guarantee only 23, not too bad. I can live with it. Tight end, average, maybe slightly above average if Washington develops into more of a pass catcher. Pat's not a great blocker. Wide receiver, I talked about it last time. No comfort for me, not enough there. Squanick is activated. He's elevated with Roman Wilson not available. A big 6'5" target went to Notre Dame. Has had some success against the Steelers. We'll see what he does in this game if he gets any snaps. Defensively, D-line, I'd say above average with a question mark. Love Keanu Benton. Cam, is he going to be healthy? Does Larry O stay healthy? But that group as a threesome, really solid. I'll give him the take above average. Linebacker for sure, above average across the board. Really solid. Secondary, average. Too many question marks for me. You got a question at corner. You got a question at safety next to Minka. You got, as we talked about, a question in the slot. Special teams, I'll give them above average. I think the Steelers finally have a punter who you're not going to ooh and ah every other punt. One good, one bad, and obviously Boz is the man. So really solid in that respect. So today's game, I don't love it. Can't love it with the situation on the road and uncertainty at quarterback. But if you're a betting man, I would take the 4 points. I like that. But the season overall, not big on predictions about where the Steelers are going to be. I've been on a couple of radio shows where I've said 8 and 9. But look, this is a team where if they get good quarterback play, it's true of every team in the NFL, if they get good quarterback play, they can compete with most teams in the NFL. They're not in the elite category because they don't have an elite quarterback. And I still think they have enough question marks around the rest of the roster. But all things considered, the problem with the situation for the Steelers right now is the division. This is the best division in football. And the Steelers could play well all season long and still finish with a losing record. Baltimore, we saw them the other night. They're a sound football team. The Bengals are a sound football team. Some questions today about what's going on in the wide receivers. T. Higgins, is he going to play Jamar Chase? But with Burrow healthy, this is a really good football team. And then Cleveland's a bit of a wild card like the Steelers. What's going to happen with QB play is really going to decide how their season goes because that's a really sound roster. But today, look, I'm going to get you a little bit on the Justin Wilson. I'm going to combine my quarterbacks. I'm going to get you a little bit on the Justin Fields hype train. I expect the Steelers offense, it could look a little bit like the Ravens offense did on Thursday night. You could see a game where the Steelers look to run Najee early, have some success, but it ends up being the Justin Fields show running the football, where it was the Lamar show with 122 yards on the ground against the Chiefs, where Henry had 13 carries and about 15 yards. It wouldn't shock me if that happened today. But as always, it comes down to how you're going to throw the football, and is Justin Fields going to be able to make plays in the big moments? I'm going to take the 4 points. I'm going to cross my fingers and say the Steelers get a 21-16 victory in this game because they win the turnover battle. Going to be the key all season. Remember that. They win the turnover battle, win this game. I'm going to give you a couple other picks for the week as well. Try to give you some weekly winners. Let's go with the Saints at home against Carolina. Carolina's got to show it to me, right? They got to do something well. I don't think the Saints are world beaters. Give me the Saints minus 4.5. I'm taking the Steelers, as I said, +4. Give me the Jags and the Dolphins over 49.5. Mike McDaniel, the Yale guy, he's a crazy genius on offense. I don't think the Dolphins are going to stop anybody on defense. That game's going to have a ton of points. Take the over 49.5. And if you want a single player prop to bet, let's go Malik Neighbors with the Giants over 5.5 catches in week 1. There we go. Enjoy the game. I'll be back with a recap probably late tonight or early tomorrow morning. Go Steelers. See you soon.